where they were asked to introduce the speaker, and they were asked to say a few words. And like most people, when you've given a task, you always add a little something to try to promote yourself. And so with that degree and with all the prominence that came with it, she stood and she said, "First of all, I want to acknowledge all of these distinct preachers." And she lost it from that point on. I don't want to lose it this morning, but I want to thank the staff and faculty of the Shreveport Job Corps Center for inviting me here this morning to celebrate what I believe is one of your greatest achievements, that of graduating from this center. And so I salute you and believe for you that the best is yet to come. I enjoy your theme, conquering challenges and accomplishing dreams, because this is really the first leg of many around the track of life. You've probably heard of the story of the young man who traveled to the Olympics from Africa, Kenya to be exact. And he was entered into the 4-mile race. And he was running his race. And about mile 3, he fell and broke his ankle. And everyone passed him. He had led the pack, but everyone went by him. And as the other runners came in, he was missing. And so everyone went to look for him, and they found him hopping as best he could on that leg and that injured ankle, hopping around the track. And as he was coming around, he could see the people in the stands, and they were all still there. And one of the reporters ran up when he crossed the finish line and asked the question, "Why didn't you call for the ambulance? Why didn't you quit? Why didn't you give up?" He said, "Well, it's simple." He said, "My people did not send me here to win the race. They sent me here to finish the race." And that's what you've done today. That's what you represent sitting here this morning. So I want to talk to you about maintaining the attitude of a champion, because a champion has to have a certain mindset in order to finish what he or she starts. And so when we think about a champion, we think about the person who wins, who excels, who exceeds every other competitor. And we think about the people out there, the other runners. But as this illustration about the runner from Kenya demonstrates, the all others that you compete against as you run your race is you. That the only competitor you are competing with is you. You have to be engaged in what I call mastering self-destructive behavior. There is no success without growth, without pain, without learning that you have to, at some point, if you're going to live and live successfully, stop playing children's games in an adult world. And I thought I would share a little bit about that this morning, because I had my fun. I had my fun. I was raised in a little town called Griffin, North Carolina. And you've heard the rapper Drake say, "We started from the bottom, now we're here." Started from the bottom, now the team's all here. You heard that, right? Well, I started from the bottom, but the team is not all here. Some of the team dropped out along the way. And some of your team is going to drop out along the way. And that's why I said that for you to be successful, you're competing against you. You are your own worst or best friend. And so you have to learn how to manage you in order to be successful. You came to Job Corps, I'm sure you found some staff and faculty that supported you, that believed in you, but you may have come from some circumstances where you did not believe that you were capable of achieving anything. I've been there, as they say, done that, got the t-shirt. And so when I was born and raised in 1955 in this small town on the east coast of North Carolina, I had no idea, first of all, that I was poor, because my life was not any different from anyone else's life. We all were in the same condition. And it was not until Dr. Martin Luther King began the civil rights movement that I suddenly woke up and realized that other people living a little bit better than I am. Other folk have some of the niceties of life that I would like to have. And I decided I was going to find a way to get it. As a matter of fact, I went to church one day, little short guy as I am now, and I told the pastor, "Pastor, I'm going to be rich." And the pastor said, "No, you're not going to be rich. It's not God's will for you to be rich." And the pastor planted that seed in my head. And that seed I still wrestle with at 57 years of age. Because you can imagine how I treated money, knowing that it was not God's will for me to be rich. I determined I'm just going to live it up. I'm going to have a good time, and I'm not going to worry about investing, about saving, about preparing for my future, because it was not God's will for me to be rich. You have to be careful who you listen to if you're going to be successful in this life. Yeah, applause goes there. That's good. Somebody ought to clap. But you have to be careful who you listen to, because you have some of your team, some of your relatives, some of your friends who do not believe, and still, you know how I don't know where I am, but when my nephew got shot, he was a drug dealer, and he was successful at it. And the boys in the hood wanted to succeed him. So they entered his apartment, shot him one bullet to the temple, point blank range, and he died. And so at the funeral, there were these guys who came to the funeral, and they came and looked over in the casket and poured libations, you know, and all that. And somewhere in that group of young men that paraded through that viewing procession was a guy who just came to make sure that he was dead. There are some people here today who just came to make sure that you did graduate, because they didn't believe it. They didn't believe it. They didn't believe it, but look at you now. So you ought to go and brush your shoulders off. Tell them how you like me now. Back then didn't want me. Now I'm hot, y'all want me. You ought to have some confidence in who you are and in your abilities to be all that you can be. My father built the little house that we lived in. My mother and all 13 of us lived together in this house. We took baths out on the porch in a foot tub. You know what a foot tub is? We took baths in cold water in a foot tub. We fought mosquitoes as we tried to wash our feet. You know, we couldn't bathe but once a week because water was scarce. And the thing about it was everybody used the same water. So I don't know how clean we got. But that's just how poor we were. And so who would have thought that this little country boy who didn't have running water in the house, who had to use an outhouse, who had to eat cornbread and butter for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, who thought cabbage was caviar? Who would have thought that 40 years later I would be where I am today? Who would have thought? And that's what you want to do. You want to look back over your life and say, look what the Lord has done. You want to be able to look back where you started from. And when people say, hey, we counted you out, you look at them and say, don't count me out. I may be down, but I'm not out. I'll tell you one story. I don't have much time. I know you're ready to get those diplomas. I've sat where you sit. But I joined the military. I was 16 when my mother signed the paper And when I finished basic training and advanced individual training, I was in Panama, overseas, 16 years of age. When I turned 17, I celebrated my 17th birthday around a bunch of grown men in the military, and I'm 16 years old. So I learned, and I had to grow up quick because they didn't have any mercy on you. I mean, they played tricks on me that I will not tell you about. But I remember the lessons very well. One night, you know, being 16, almost 17, I was in the back seat of a car with my friend. We were riding through downtown Panama, and don't y'all tell nobody, but we were smoking marijuana. We were getting high as a kite, and we looked up, and the joker that was driving was going down a one-way street the wrong way. So naturally, that attracted attention. So here I am in the back seat in the military, got a great record, got everything going for me, but that one decision. Here comes the Panamanian police, gendarmerie they call them. Pull us over and say, do you realize you're going down the wrong way on a one-way street? Well, I didn't know it, but the person sitting next to me had slid the bag of marijuana under the seat by me. And so they said, get out the car, and they said, smell like y'all been smoking. Of course, I'm not a person to tell the truth all the time. Back then, I was trying to fake it, you know, like I was not high. And so I didn't say a thing. I leaned on the car and let the driver do all the talking. But they went and searched the car. They found the drugs, and they took us to jail in Panama. Now, can you imagine, here I am from a little country town. Now I'm in a foreign country, 17 years of age, in the jail. Don't speak Spanish. Habla español. You learn a lot depending on where you find yourself. And so I spent that 3 weeks, I believe it was, in that Panamanian jail. The military said they couldn't do anything for us because it was a political arrest, and unless they released some of the Panamanians, they were not going to release us Americans, and we were going to have to stick there unless we wanted to pay $300 to get out. And I said, I'm not paying no $300 to get out of here. I can stay here another week. It's all right with me. I'm fine, you know. But I didn't realize that the next day we were all going to be taken out on a Marine LCM. That's one of them flat rafts, I call them, to what they call Cueva Island. Now we're talking hardcore stuff. This is a young man having to grow up real quick because now I'm going where there are hardcore criminals. And I'm an innocent little man. I hadn't really been anywhere but Griffin, didn't even know really what marijuana was until I got in the Army. And here I am now on this island, compliments of the United States Marine Corps. And so I get there on this island, and I'm thinking to myself, Lord, please don't let them tell my mama. Out of all the things I could be worried about, I was worried about them telling my mother. Because mother had suffered, bled, sacrificed for us to be successful. Mother had prayed, and mother had motivated, and mother had disciplined, and mother had said we could be something. And here I was on this Cueva Island, and it's an island, water everywhere, no escape. They didn't have to lock you up. You weren't going anywhere. And I watched the Marines pull away, and we waved at each other. But 40 days later, I was released. Hallelujah. And I went back to the military base and spent the rest of my tour over there without incident. You can imagine that never happened again. Because the process of life is sometimes you do make mistakes on your way to accomplishing your dream. Sometimes you do make the wrong decisions. Sometimes you do laugh at the wrong time. Sometimes you do hang on the wrong corner, and sometimes it's mistaken identity. You're really not that terrible kid people think you are, but you have peer pressure, so you're just trying to hang and get along so nobody won't say anything to you. Keep the attention off you. You know what I mean? You've been there too, I know. So then, life says this. Life says if you dream big, you can achieve big. But you have to apply every lesson you learn to your dream. I wrote a creed out of a book by Napoleon Hill in 1979 when I was in Belgium. And the creed says, I believe in myself. I believe in those who work with me. I believe in my employer. I believe in my friends. I believe in my family. I believe that God will lend me everything I need with which to succeed if I do my best to earn it through faithful and honest service. I believe in prayer, and I will never close my eyes to sleep without praying for divine guidance to the end that I will be patient with other people and tolerant with those who do not believe as I do. I believe that success is the result of intelligent effort and does not depend upon luck or sharp practices or double-crossing friends, fellow men, or my employer. I believe I will get out of life exactly what I put into it. Therefore, I will be careful to conduct myself toward others as I would want them to act toward me. I will not slander those whom I do not like. I will not slight my work no matter what I may see others doing. I will render the best service of which I am capable because I have pledged myself to succeed in life. And I know that success is always a result of conscientious and efficient effort. Finally, I will forgive those who offend me because I realize that I shall sometimes offend others, and I will need their forgiveness. This creed has served me well. I commend it to you. As you leave as a graduate, believe that you can achieve whatever you put your mind to. Believe that this is just a stepping stone to greatness. Believe that all of those negative seeds that have been sown from your past can be eradicated with great effort, great tenacity, and great purpose. Always live your life achieving something greater than you are. When you seek to do something greater than you are, I am a living witness that it does not matter where you come from. It matters what you learn along the way. God bless you, and as Dr. Clark would say, live long and prosper.